I think I have found something that most sports watchers can agree on. The officiating in football is absolutely terrible.
Absolutely terrible.
It's so bad. It's not only bad in college football, it's bad in the NFL. Missed calls are happening all around. It's terrible. The thing is about people is we usually can't agree on much. Like we usually have our own opinions about so many different things. However, about the officiating, we all collectively agree that it's not good. We all collectively agree that calls are being missed. You know the officiating is bad when the actual team that benefited from the bad call can go, yeah, that was a bad call. The officiating in football is abysmal. It is so bad. I've been complaining about it for a long time. It's awful. And so I just thought about like, am I the only one that thinks it's bad? Like, it can't be this bad. It's not this bad, right? Like, okay, I'm overreacting. They're missing these calls. Nope. Everybody that is watching football is aware how bad this officiating is. And the thing that pisses me off the most about this is people still want to protect these officials. People still want to act like, well, yeah, but they're just. Here's my issue with that. These football players are on camera. We know their names. We know sometimes their salaries. We know their NIL deals. We know their moms. We know their brothers. We know their sisters. We know all the things. And the officials, their faces are on TV. They don't wear face masks. They don't wear things where we can't identify them. We know who these officials are. Before they play a game, we know what officials are going to be reffing what game. Like these people aren't anonymous. We see them making the calls on the field. So for the fact that people want to shield them and to protect them, for what? They're making bad calls. We need to hold refs accountable. Although I don't really think football cares about these things because they've shown us they haven't cared. They've shown us they're not going to correct it. My issue is we got the replay added to football to make the right calls, but yet they will go watch your replay and still make the wrong call. What is the actual point of replay? What are we doing? Why is it okay for the officials to be bad? Why is it okay for the officials that we can see on the field continuously make bad calls? Why is it okay that before a certain official umpires a game, before a certain official goes and referees a game, we know their first name, their last name, and all their percentages of how they usually throw flags and what they usually do and how terrible they are. If we know that information, what are we doing with that information? I do want to admit this before I get into my list of things, before I go in on these officials. I am aware that these officials have a limited amount of reps. I'm aware that football is one of the seasons where you only play one time a week. So their ability to actually get in game reps and to get in and understand what's happening and to understand the speed of the game and things like that is lacking. I also understand the speed of the game is probably really fast, and really fast makes it really hard for them to make decisions, for them to make calls. My point in saying this is I could understand why they don't always get it right. I'm okay with them not always getting it right if when you get it wrong, you can go and you can fix you getting it wrong. The thing that pisses me off is when they get it wrong, the guy comes in and tells them, because he comes in the telecast and says, oh, they got this play wrong, it should be fixed. And then the call stands on the field. What is the point? What is actually the point of what we're trying to do here? So I am going to talk about my ways in which I think that we can get this right, because there's no use in having review and all of these things if you're just going to review and get it wrong and nothing happens. My first thing is we need to hold these officials accountable. We need to find a grading system or something that we can do so that it's public. I don't understand why the transparency of refs is hidden. Why is it hidden? What is the point of it being hidden? If somebody on the field goes out and does something dumb and he purposely hurts an athlete and he twists his ankle while he's on the ground, that video or that meme is going to go everywhere. Why don't the players get privacy? Why are we trying to protect the refs more than we're trying to protect the players' privacy? I think that is a mistake. Why don't we have PFF grades for the officials? You can see their list on the PFF grades. Why doesn't something have to come out every week where we can see who was the best ref, who wasn't the best ref? People say that this happens internally, but why can't we see it publicly? People are betting money on these games. People are spending time on these games. Why can't we know this information? Why do we have to hide this information if you're already saying this information exists? That makes no sense. The second thing I think needs to happen is we need to do immediate reviews more often and it needs to happen more succinctly. For example, if I'm watching the game and I can clearly see the receiver drop the ball and everybody knows the receiver drops the ball, the only people that don't know the receiver dropped the ball, quite frankly, are the two refs that are there to make the call that the receiver dropped the ball. They don't know he dropped the ball. So they get together, they talk about it, they go back and forth, they change the call. Great. It would be so much easier if somebody would ding down in their ear and say, hey, he dropped that ball, third down. Hey, he actually missed that. Hey, blah, blah, blah. Why don't we do that more often? Why aren't people helping out these refs? If you're not helping out refs, you know what that means to me? You're allowing it. If you are not helping out refs fix things, that means you're allowing it. You want to know why I think they're allowing it or why I've come to that conclusion? Answer me this. How many of you have been watching a football game and there's been a play or there's been something that happens and the ref pings down to another ref, or something happens and they immediately change it, or the ball was placed 1 yard back and then all of a sudden, randomly out of nowhere, the ball gets moved 2 yards ahead and it's now all of a sudden a first down? How do you think they're making those decisions? Somebody is telling them in their ear. Somebody is watching that and realized in that moment that they made a mistake and they fixed that mistake quickly, and then we just got back to the game. Why doesn't that happen more often? Why? This game is $1 billion industry. Why is there not somebody sitting in the booth that can help these referees, that can help them make the right calls? Is it all their fault? Well, no, because the game is happening fast. They do have limited time to learn and catch the rules and do all the things and make the right decisions. But what are we doing to help them? The officiating crews are bad, but what is the NCAA and what is the NFL doing to help these officials? Well, nothing. They're picking and choosing when they want to radio down to fix and call. They're picking and choosing of how calls stand. They're picking and choosing all of these things. So on the one hand, is it the officials' fault for missing the calls? Yeah, because you were there and you saw it and you missed it. But it's also the NCAA and the NFL's fault for not making sure that this is better. We've been complaining about this for what seems like decades. Fix the officiating. There's no excuse for the officiating not to be fixed at this point unless you're allowing it, unless you're okay with it. And if you're allowing it and you're okay with it, again, come out, grow some balls and own it. Come out and say that, NCAA. Come out and say that, NFL. Own it. But what you're doing is you're leaving your officials hanging out to dry and you're doing nothing to protect them. By you not bringing things to light and by you not having transparency, you are actually crippling them. You are actually making us not trust them.
You are actually doing them a disservice. Shame on you, NFL, and shame on you, NCAA. You are supposed to be better than this. Your job
is actually to protect the referees, and you're not doing it. Shame on you. This is on you. Yes, the officials can be better, but this is on you. Shame on you for not taking action. There's a couple other things that I think would be helpful. When I first thought about this, I was like, well, why don't we find the refs? If the players do something that's ridiculous, we find them. So why don't we find the refs? Well, the truth is that's not fair because they're not being held accountable to anything publicly. So you can't find them privately, but try to hold them in public, like, you know what I mean? Like, it just gets a little murky to me. So then I was like, no, let's not find the refs. I don't really love that. But what I do think should happen is, why do we have referees doing their own in-game looking at the footage and trying to figure out a call? They saw the call live and they missed it. So what we want to do is say, hey, I know you missed it live because it was too fast and you couldn't see it. So go look on this very little monitor. We're going to slow it all the way down for you. And you know what? You're still going to screw this up, but this is a great fix. No, it's terrible. I don't think we should have referees going and looking at these little bitty screens in slow down motion in different angles and trying to figure out these important calls. Why isn't there somebody watching the games that can just radio down and say, hey, he did catch it? Why don't we have somebody that can just radio down and say, hey, he did catch it? Hey, actually, he went down at the 37.5-yard line. Why can't the NCAA and the NFL pay an official to go sit in the booth at every single game? Pay somebody, pay these people, pay them $150,000 to be at every single stadium, to go sit in a booth by themselves, to watch the game on the field, and to have all these screens so they can actively help them in games. Why not? Why not? Why don't we go hire that person? Why don't we go hire? Why doesn't that person become a part of the officiating crew? Give them two people. Add two people that will go and be on crew and that will sit upstairs or will sit wherever. They can sit on the sideline. I don't care where they sit. Give them another set of eyes because the game is faster. The athletes are faster. They're getting bigger. They're getting stronger. They're getting all these things. I respect that. I understand that. So my question is, what is the NFL and what is the NCAA doing about it? How are they going to fix it? Because as of right now, they're doing nothing. They're doing nothing about it. They radio down sometimes when it's convenient, and then other times they let things go. There's been call after call after call after call after call missed in these football games. People are losing games because of botched calls. People are losing momentum in their games because of wrong calls. This is impacting college football. This is impacting the National Football League. Why are we not fixing it? Why is it okay to allow your refs to go out there and suck? I don't understand why this is okay. As a fan of football, I hope somebody steps in and fixes this. I hope somebody changes the rules. I hope somebody cares enough to do something because it sucks watching these games and knowing that you can't trust the refs. It sucks watching these games knowing that none of us really know the rules. None of us really know what a catch is. None of us really know what a touchdown is. None of us really know what holding is. None of us really knows what pass interference is. Nobody really knows any of the rules because the game is so watered down and so diluted because nobody is holding these refs accountable that the game now is just like, it might be holding, that might be a touchdown, that might be this, I don't know. And that's where we're at. We're in the I don't know game. We're in the I don't know game. Think about that. We're watching football games and we're literally saying, I don't know what the call is because I don't know the rules. It is sad and it is pathetic. And the NCAA and the NFL have to do better because this is disgusting.